Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Anime Roundup. My name is Trey.
And I'm Patrick.
And we have some stuff to talk about tonight. So Patrick, do you want to go first for your week this week?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I'm still watching Konohana, Kitan.
Yeah.
I was able to keep up this week, and I still absolutely love it. I'm not gonna spoil anything at all, I promise. But this week was really different because they focused on a character they don't normally focus on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting to see where they went with her backstory and what she was involved in. So
Okay.
that was interesting. And then, of course, I've been trying to keep up with Iron-Blooded Orphans still.
Yeah. Did you watch any more?
And yeah, I watched another episode. I watched it a few days ago. It's pretty good. I mean, it's Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah. What does that put you on now, episode-wise?
Let me see. Let me pull it up real quick. I've been trying to get through as many as I can. Right now, I'm on episode 35.
Okay.
So it's out of the total.
50?
That is, yeah. So I've got about 15 more.
You're getting close.
Yeah, it's not too bad. This last episode was pretty interesting. This whole battle on Earth thing of like what they're gonna do has been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then of course, with the talks that they've been having with so bad.
Gallarhorn?
No, the other group, the one that they
The Turbines?
originally made it. Huh?
The Turbines?
Yeah. So they've been like having to talk. The Turbines they had that small group of guys that like really hate Zeta Gundam.
Oh, yeah. Part of the bigger group that the Turbines are a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I cannot remember their name.
Oh, man. That guy has such a good name, too. Is it Jasper Nikopos? I'm gonna look it up because I love that name so much.
Yes, like the the bigger group that they're in.
Well, the bad guy from there, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, they're like really upset with the fact that the boss is letting Tekadon do a lot more stuff because they're newer.
Jasly. I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry.
And
go
so
ahead.
that's kind of been really interesting because I never know what they're gonna do. But like I said, I'm trying to keep up with it. Right now, I'm getting out of the swing of school and having my first day off in a while. Where
Yeah.
I could actually just sit down and do nothing for a whole day. I ended up sleeping most of it, so
Is it
I didn't get to
Jasly?
watch anything today.
Jasly Donomikos? I'm not gonna be able to sleep until I figure this out.
Why don't you just go look at a list of characters?
That's what I'm trying to pull up now, quietly. I really
Well,
need
if
to
you
get
want
a
to just
new.
do it real quick and edit it out, you can.
No, it's fine. We can keep going. I just really need to get a quieter keyboard for when we're. Also, my J key is starting to go bad. Jasly Donomikos. Okay, from Tewaz. I knew his first name was Jasly, and then his name had like multiple syllables in it. It's such a good name for such a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasly Donomikos.
Iron-Blooded Orphans is really good. I absolutely love it. It's so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. I agree.
So what about your week?
So my week was finishing off Net-Juu Susume, Life of a MMO Junkie, Recovery of an MMO Junkie. That's the English name now. The ending was really good. It didn't finish, I guess you could say. Like, there's clearly more story to tell. And at one point they even say, but that's a story for a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But where it ended at now, because I know it's a light novel, so where it ended at now I'm very happy with. They did one of the things that I'm super fond of, which is when character decides based on something that somebody else did that they want to step up to, and there was just a really good moment where a character stepped up, and I'm not going to say anybody hooked up, but I'm going to say there was some hand holding. And in anime, that's as good as hooking up most of the time.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I absolutely loved the end of Recovery of an MMO Junkie. That was a great show. I would look forward to a second season if they made another one.
That's awesome. I hope they do.
It was a really good romance, and the two main characters I thought were really well rounded.
Yeah.
They're also older than most anime characters, so that was pretty interesting. Sakurai Yuta, I think, is 26. And Morikoka, that was her name. Wow, come on, Trey. Names today. Normally I'm, like, immediate with them. Morikoka was, I think she's 32. So.
Okay.
That was pretty cool, in my opinion, having older characters.
Yeah, especially because normally they're all teenagers.
Yeah. And then past that, I watched Gekiganger 3, the movie, which, Patrick, there is no way for me to explain this without having to do the full explanation, except for one that I'm going to try, and we'll see if it's good enough.
Okay.
So there's an anime called Martian Successor Nadesco.
Mm-hmm.
And in Nadesco, one of the big things is that the main character, some of the villains, and some of the side characters are all fans of a single anime called Gekiganger 3. So Gekiganger 3 is an anime inside an anime.
Which makes sense. Okay.
Martian Successor Nadesco is a mecha show about low-power real robot, or high-power real robots, low-power super robots. Basically robots that have distortion fields around them, but other than that, work just like regular robots. No superpowers or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gekiganger 3 is a show about a super robot. So it's a super robot show inside a real robot show. And a lot of the events of the actual anime mirror the events of Gekiganger 3. And so there's a lot of references to it in the series, and characters do things based off things that had happened in Gekiganger 3. Specifically, there's a character that dies in Gekiganger 3, and when it looks like somebody might die in Martian Successor Nadesco, they quote that character's death line. And so It's a really cool premise for a show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know that they had released an OVA, an original video animation, of Gekiganger 3, the movie, which is just Gekiganger 3. And go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
What it is, honestly, is the first 15 minutes is the cuts that you see in the anime with a couple more, like, scenes to them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, the couple more scenes explain things you might have missed, and for the others, it's all just for the sake of parody. Because it was supposed to be a parody at the same time that it was playing it straight and being serious with it. Like, for instance, there's a scene where the main character of Gekiganger 3, Ken, that you just see, like, in passing in the regular series, where he goes, "What do you mean my master's been killed?" And you never get to hear, like, the resolution of that, right?
Okay.
You just hear that happen, like, almost off-screen in the actual series. And in this movie, you get a scene where he says, "What do you mean my master's been killed?" And he's looking all shocked. And the next frame, the very next cut, is them destroying a row beast, basically. A mecha monster, as they call it in Gekiganger 3. And Ken saying, "My master has been avenged."
That's cool.
And it was just little stuff like that where they tied up loose ends, you know?
Yeah, which is nice. Always nice.
The second half is a brand new encounter where Gekiganger 3, Gekiganger V, and Prince Akira team up together to fight an enemy force, which was pretty cool. Prince Akira is the main villain of Gekiganger 3.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. It had all the parody of a regular, like back in the late 70s, early 80s, almost to the 90s, mecha anime movie. Like, it has the Mazen Kaiser cut of the ground opening up in front of the laboratory, and it has all the female characters are wearing skin-tight clothes and no bras, because that was the style back in those days.
Mm.
And, all the guys are super lanky for no reason, and have really long legs, and won't say that they appreciate each other, but instead say, "I kind of like you, okay?" So
it sounds really good.
It was great for a little 30-minute cut, and then, of course, it had actual clips of Nadesco. It did the reverse, basically, where there were shots of Nadesco happening around the movie being played, because it was Nadesco characters coming to watch the movie. So
Well, that's good.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you liked it. It sounds really good.
It's a lot of fun. And actually, we might talk a little bit more about Martian Successor Nadesco later. But the other thing that I tried to watch was Tales of Zestiria the X.
Okay.
So I first tried to watch this, I first tried to watch it on Crunchyroll.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, the first episode would never load.
Wonderful.
So then I looked to see if Viz had it, and I couldn't find it on Viz. So then I turned to more other areas.
Yeah.
And tried other avenues, and the first episode finally loaded, and I got about halfway through the first episode, and then it just stopped, and I couldn't get to start again. So I'm going to try again later.
Wow.
From the first half of the first episode, I'm not sold.
Well, maybe there's a good reason you weren't able to get to it.
Well, it doesn't help that it froze right in the first real action scene. By the way, it looks beautiful. It looks great.
Let me see if I can get it to pull up.
This is the anime of Tales of Zestiria, the game that I didn't really like that much. That I was looking forward to watching the anime so that I could get the story and how it ties into Berseria, which is a game that I loved. It seems fine. I just don't really like I really have to sneeze, and I'm trying not to. I was hoping to be able to watch it, and honestly, the first 6 minutes or so, they keep mentioning this character Clem over and over again, which I don't recognize from my 22 hours with the game. And I fully expect to be dead by the end of the first episode. I could be wrong, but that's what I feel like is going to happen. So, I don't know. It didn't do a good job of selling me on the story of Zestiria. It opens up in kind of a mystery way where it's like, oh, there's this darkness, and there's this shadow, this fog that's billowing above this city, and they're going to send people to go investigate it. And I was like, oh man, this could be cool. We're going to be on an adventuring, trying to figure out what's going on. And they send Clem, and the camera, watches Clem leave, and Clem leaves. I was like, oh, we're not going with her? Oh, okay. And so then we're waiting with the princess as she waits for a response from Clem and goes to talk to other people. And I was like, okay, well, Clem's probably dead.
Wow.
I don't know. I'll finish it, and I'll finish the first episode and maybe a couple more and have maybe a better opinion of it next week. But we'll see.
Hopefully, maybe it'll be really good.
I gotta get those Berseria references, so I'm gonna have to watch it regardless, whether it's good or not.
Fair enough.
The Tales of the Abyss anime was great. It missed a couple small things with the plot that I thought the game did better, but it also had some spots where I thought the anime did better, so, you know.
That's usually how it is, though.
Mm-hmm. But that's all I've been watching, and you might say, but Full Spectrum, this would be a 15-minute anime roundup, but that's where you'd be wrong, because, see, we've took a lot of thought into this, about how if we only watch the same shows, it doesn't take that long at all to talk about them. And if we watch new shows, it still doesn't take that long to talk about them. So we've decided to start bringing in anime news or anime topics. And this week we have a topic that is a little personal. Because the topic is good anime for new anime fans. And the reason we wanted... Go ahead, Patrick, I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's a really good topic.
The reason we want to do this topic first is because Patrick is still a relatively new anime fan. And he wants some shows to watch.
Definitely.
So, Patrick, what was your first anime? Was Naruto, right?
Yes. The first one I completed was Naruto.
Okay. Do we want to just go ahead and say that you think Naruto's a good recommendation for somebody to start with?
Maybe. I don't know if I would consider it a good recommendation if you want to watch good anime. If you just want to watch entertaining anime, then yeah.
Well, then, I actually think that recommending somebody some of the best anime may not be the right call. Because some of the best anime, like for instance, Steins Gate, in my opinion, is one of the best anime ever made. I absolutely love Steins Gate. It's such a good anime that I would show it to my dad if I thought he would like it. But he doesn't have enough patience for it. And the problem is when you're a new anime fan, you've probably come into the anime scene because, I just said scene like I'm 70, because you saw something cool, you know?
Yeah.
You may be in it for the plot, but you may not be as patient as you would be otherwise. And I feel like having something that's a little bit more action-y to start with is not a bad step at all.
So maybe start with the shonen.
Yeah, maybe start with a shonen. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a super long one. Like, My Hero Academia, I think, is a great place to start.
I do too, because a lot of the people that I know that watch Boku no Hero are actually not anime watchers.
Yeah.
So that means that, like, Boku no Hero is really easy to get into as a whole.
It's
And
also new.
Yeah, which that helps as well, because there's not that many episodes to catch up with.
Not many episodes. It has really good animation.
It has a really good plot too, in my opinion.
It does. I agree. So the first recommendation we're going to make, if you are somebody who's never seen anime before and stumbled on this somehow and got through 15 minutes without turning this off, is My Hero Academia. And Patrick, I was going to ask, since I've got the audio on this side, would you mind typing them in as we go?
Yeah, I got you.
Appreciate it. My Hero Academia, in my opinion, is a really good place to start. My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia, whatever you want to call it, when you are looking it up, it is absolutely a good show to start with.
And the manga apparently is really good too. I know you've been reading it.
So good.
I really need to catch up.
And while we're still at the start of this topic, lest we let manga readers feel like they're left in the dirt, I want to start having a manga segment too, where I talk about manga I'm reading, and we talk about maybe some manga topics too.
That would be really cool.
So, we've started with Boku no Hero. Patrick, do you have any other recommendations? I don't want to be the only one talking here. I want your input as well.
That's understandable. I do think that Naruto wouldn't be a bad place to start for people who like to binge watch, because obviously it's completed and it's full of action for almost the entire thing. So it might not be a bad place to start.
Well, especially if you say, hey, give this a shot, make it through a couple seasons, like not seasons as in like full seasons, but like arcs, and see what you think.
Yeah.
Finish the Chunin exams and see what you think.
That should be, in my opinion, once you've watched the Chunin exams, you've seen probably the best part of Naruto as a whole.
You can move on then if you want to, or you can stick around and watch a bunch of filler. But...
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and recommend. It makes me sad too, honestly, because I really love the start of Naruto. We're going to go ahead and recommend Naruto as well, because I agree. I think it's a really good place to start if you've never seen anime before. The characters are interesting and dynamic for the most part, except for Sasuke and Sakura. Honestly, yeah. I said that as a joke, and it hit me how real that sentence is.
Yeah.
Everybody else that you meet early on, even Konohamaru, as annoying as he is even the crow flying in the sky is interesting. The one that goes, aha!
Yeah.
Like, the start of Naruto is so interesting. With Kakashi, and, like, Naruto, and you have Rock Lee, and Kiba. Man. I'm sad now. So start with Naruto.
It's just gonna make you sad.
So, I'm gonna say something a little controversial, that hurts me deep inside. I don't know that you should start with One Piece.
I think the amount of episodes might scare somebody, because it scared me.
I adore One Piece. I think One Piece is one of the best shows ever made, and I think it's absolutely one of the best manga ever written. But One Piece is a behemoth. It's a titan. And facing off a titan when you've never really watched anime before is not a good place to go. I think if you do the same thing with Naruto, if you say, I'm going to watch the first couple arcs, I'm going to see maybe through Arlong Park, and then stop. Like, that's a good way to do it. Arlong Park is, I think, 30 episodes in.
That's not bad at all.
So you've watched a little bit more than a regular season. So I would recommend One Piece, the start of One Piece. I feel like now, having recommended 3 shonen, we should veer away from shonen. And I'm going to say, maybe you want to watch anime. Maybe you've seen a bunch of cool stuff, but it's not the action that's drawing you in. Maybe you came in for the music. Maybe you came in for giant robots. Maybe you came in for romance. Maybe, there's a ton of different reasons why different people watch anime.
Exactly.
A show that I'm going to recommend is School Rumble. And now hold on, because I know you're thinking about laughing.
Okay.
I know you're thinking about laughing. I think School Rumble, okay, so I didn't talk about it in my week, but I watched the first 5 episodes of School Rumble again. I think School Rumble is absolutely a great place to start if you want, especially if you're new and aren't so sure about subs. All the shows we've mentioned before or so far have pretty good dubs. If you're not somebody who is used to subs yet, School Rumble is a great place to go for a dub. That is going to be a really solid dub. It's a great introduction to the school style of anime. It's a great introduction to comedy anime. I think it is absolutely a really good place to start if you just want to sit down and have some fun with anime.
I really want to watch it. I still haven't seen it yet.
It's good. I'm not going to get rid of this list, but you should copy it down on your end as well, because some of these things I think you should absolutely check out.
For sure.
If we want to continue with the school-themed anime, I would say Toradora, as we've talked about before, is absolutely a good anime for new people. There's not a lot in Toradora that is going to put you out. Its dub is pretty good. It also has a really good sub. So if you are somebody that wants to watch subbed anime and doesn't know where to start, Toradora is a series that has a lot of talking, but most of the dialogue is interesting and should keep you entertained. Patrick, you're a couple episodes in now, right?
Yes, I'm 3 episodes in.
Do you think the dialogue so far is pretty entertaining?
I do think so. I haven't been watching the dub, so I'm not sure on the dub, but the sub is really good.
So this is a good show. How do I word this? For instance, there's a really good show that I'm not going to recommend to new people. I almost called it by its OP. Called, oh wow, come on, Trey. It's got Kraft Lawrence and Horo. It's Spice and Wolf. That's an amazing anime. I would never recommend that to a new person because it's very dialogue heavy and there's not a dub.
Yeah, that's hard for a lot of people, especially people who aren't used to reading subs.
Mm-hmm. So I think Toradora is a good place to start with subs, honestly.
Yeah, the subs is really good too. The voices are really good, so it doesn't make it hard to want to look at the sub while you're listening to them.
Yeah.
Because I know that, for example, with Naruto, at first the reason why I didn't watch the sub was because I wasn't used to hearing the voices with reading subtitles. And once I got used to it, of course, it was really easy. But Toradora, their voices aren't as, hard to listen to, I guess, which is kind of weird to say. But
the dialogue isn't as fast either.
Exactly. So it gives you time to, see what's going on and read what they're saying. So...
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to recommend one more school anime just to have it there. So I'm going to recommend Clannad. Now, I think Clannad is not something you should watch first, but I think Clannad, if you just start it, maybe as your 3rd or 4th anime, you watch Clannad and you're getting through Clannad and it's great. And then by the time you reach the end the end of Clannad, you are ready for some tougher anime. You're ready for something that's not afraid to punch you in the gut.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I jumped in a little heavy.
Yeah, you went straight to IBO.
Because considering I'd only seen Naruto and Cowboy Bebop and Monster... Okay, so Monster Hunter at one point punched me in the stomach. And that was my first experience with character death and frustration. And then I moved into Iron Blooded Orphans and it just got way worse.
Did you say Monster Hunter?
I mean, Hunter x Hunter. My bad.
Oh, yeah, I was like, Monster Hunter? What? Yeah, no, Hunter x Hunter is absolutely great for that. And we can just into it. I will recommend Hunter x Hunter. It's a different type of shonen, which is why I didn't bring it up with the others. And it's very long, but it's a really good introductory adventure anime. You're not going to... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, to be honest with you, I looked at Hunter x Hunter and I was like, man... There's so many episodes. I'm never going to be able to finish this. And before I knew it, I had already gotten halfway through, and I'd only been watching for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. It's like we talked about earlier with School Rumble and Toradora being great introductions into a genre and then into subs. I actually think Hunter x Hunter is one of the best introductions to long shows.
I can agree with that for sure.
It very clearly denigrates into arcs that you could pick up and drop if you want to, but it also gives you just enough hook at the end of an arc that you want to start the next one. And once you're in an arc, you don't stop.
Even in one of the arcs that I thought was arguably a rough arc to get through, I still found a way to be interested because there'd be something going on that you'd want to know what was going to happen with.
Yep. And it absolutely prepares you for tough character deaths that you're not ready for, which is a great lead-in to Fullmetal Alchemist. The reason I think Fullmetal Alchemist is an amazing recommendation is that Fullmetal Alchemist is one of, if not the best anime ever made, according to my anime list. It is a show that, despite being a little bit older now, came out in 2007, I think, Brotherhood did. It is still absolutely amazing. It is one of the best adventure stories ever told. And it's also wonderfully tragic in some moments with some of the best characters and honestly, character deaths in anime, in my opinion.
I still haven't seen it. I really need to watch it.
And to anybody looking for it, I actually recommend Brotherhood over Regular Alchemist. Regular Alchemist is great, don't get me wrong, but Brotherhood, in my opinion, is the more complete version of the story. So, I absolutely think it's a really good adventure. I suppose with that, we should transfer into some other genres. Patrick, what genre you want to tackle next?
So we've already done kind of like slice of life,
and
action, and adventure.
I'm trying to give 3 recommendations for each, and that way if somebody even watches just one of those recommendations, they can get some good anime.
I think we should do comedies, whether it be rom-com or adventure-com or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. The best, in my opinion, the best comedy is Gintama, but I don't think Gintama is a good recommendation for new fans.
To be honest with you, I wasn't ready for Gintama, and I still I'm gonna come back to it because I watched about 10 episodes, but I definitely wasn't ready for Gintama.
Yeah, Gintama, in my opinion, is absolutely amazing, but it is not a good show for people who've never seen anime before. Instead, I was about to recommend the exact same thing. Patrick, do you want to field this recommendation?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the easiest comedies to get into is Konosuba, because I will go as far to say that a lot of people who watch anime typically are also gamers. Not all of them, of course, but typically I would think that people who watch anime are usually gamers as well. And this anime is so cool because it literally takes people and puts them into a game, basically. And it's so funny.
I love Konosuba. It's absolutely amazing. It is the isekai genre, being transported to another world done right, in such a good way, man. It's just so good.
I really want more. If they could come out with more episodes, I'd be so happy.
And I'm sure they'll get another season. Like, it was that popular. It'll get another one. But.
And the characters are so well designed, too.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think everything to do with Kazuma and a couple of the other characters, I don't want to spoil too much, but that's why as soon as I said the first name, I was like, maybe I shouldn't say anymore.
Yeah, because I wanted to say Best Girl's name, but I decided not to.
Yeah, we'll be good. The next recommendation that I have is, and I may have to type this one out for you, Patrick, it's Baka to Test. Baka and Test. It is a comedy romance, slice of life, but it is absolutely hilarious. It has a really good dub. It has a really good sub. It is very solid. And it... How do I word this? it deals with tropes in a way that I think is a really good way to introduce people to tropes. If you've never seen anime before, you're not going to understand why somebody would suddenly have a giant nosebleed.
Yeah.
But Baka and Test has a moment where a character gets a giant nosebleed and goes, my nose is bleeding because I saw their crotch.
Oh, so kind of explains anime while it goes.
They spend a lot of time explaining tropes. There's a character that's a yandere. And obviously a yandere, for people that have watched a lot of anime, they know that means it's a character that loves somebody so much that it makes them crazy, and they will do crazy things to protect that person or to get other people away from that person. In Baka and Test, there's a character, a yandere, that uses a literal taser to tase the character they love if they're doing something they don't like, to train them, to teach them. And at one point, one of the characters says, that makes her a yandere, right? So it does a really good job of introducing you to tropes, while still being hilarious.
I really want to watch this now.
You should. It's really good. And past that, I will say, this is a weird recommendation, and I don't know if it's a good one, but it's a hilarious show. And I'm not going to recommend it. I was going to recommend Daily Lives of High School Boys, which is an absolutely hilarious show. But it's very slow-paced. There's a lot of... It's dialogue-heavy. And, to my knowledge, it does not have a dub. The sub is really good, but... We'll move on from comedy. Because we also already mentioned School Rumble. We already mentioned Toradora. And there's comedy in both of those as well. What genre would you like to see next, Patrick?
What else do we have left here?
We still have Mecha. We haven't touched. We still have straight romance, and then we still have dramas.
Let's go into drama, because I haven't seen any real dramas.
Okay. The first one that I would recommend when it comes to dramas would be... Now, we want just straight drama, or we want drama that's also a romance?
I feel like either one would be okay.
Okay. The first drama that I recommend, and I say drama because it's drama, it's mystery, thriller, things like that,
Yeah.
Baccano is the first one that I recommend. Baccano. And the reason I recommend Baccano for drama is that it has a very large cast, to the point where the opening literally gives you every character's name every single time you watch the opening. It is set in the 1930s on a train called the Flying Pussyfoot. And it jumps around a lot with time, but does a really good job of letting you know when it jumps. So when it jumps back to a different time period, you go, it shows you the year, shows you where you were, and gives you like 5 seconds of the last thing you saw in that time period.
That's actually really cool.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a really fun mystery series about these characters all interacting in different ways, and you find out a lot of cool stuff about them. Baccano is one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. It's absolutely amazing. It has a really good sub. It has a really good dub. I absolutely recommend it to anybody that wants a good mystery, thriller, drama, whatever you want to call this genre. I don't know why I was waiting for somebody else to talk. It's just you and me here.
I was going to say, I haven't seen any dramas.
Next up, I would recommend Trigun. Trigun is also an adventure anime, so I thought about recommending it earlier, but it's the story of a man named Vash the Stampede, who is just trying to get by in the world. He has I think it's $60 million double dollar bounty on his head.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people that want him dead, but the story that unravels with Vash is not only, in my opinion, a really good gateway into more serious plot-driven shows, but is also very sad. And the events that lead to the end of that series, in my opinion, are not only really good, but will always stick with me.
That's what makes anime so good.
I agree. And you may have some input on my final recommendation for dramas, because I actually would say Cowboy Bebop is a drama.
I can understand that.
you want to field why Cowboy Bebop is a good recommendation?
Yeah, I can do that. I think the best thing about Cowboy Bebop, in my opinion, is the way that they actually put together each character, because the way that they develop each character in each story, because every episode isn't like directly related to the one before it.
Yeah.
Makes it so, oh man, I don't even know how to explain how amazing it is to me, because like the whole time you're watching Cowboy Bebop, you're concerned about every character.
Yeah.
And throughout the story, it keeps you so on your toes about what's going on, even though it may not seem like they're related at all. And then at the very end, it just ties everything together like a perfect little present. And it's amazing. Like this, to me, Cowboy Bebop is one of my, out of the amount of anime I've seen, which isn't too big, Cowboy Bebop is definitely up there because it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. There's one more show I wanted to recommend for this, but chose not to, which is Outlaw Star. The reason being that Outlaw Star starts off just as grounded as Bebop and Trigun, but by the end of Outlaw Star, you have you have Chinese space assassins using bullets that are able to suck things into black holes to try and kill the main cast. It gets a little crazy. I love it. I absolutely adore it. But it gets a little off the rails towards the end.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody that's a starter would be ready for something like that off the bat.
Yeah. So, there's two more big genres we haven't touched at all yet, which are romance and mecha.
I definitely want to save mecha for last.
Okay. So for romances, I have a couple recommendations. You have your straight romances, and then you have your romances with a twist. I think of the straight romances, this is where it gets difficult for me, because I've seen a lot. You know me, I'm a fan of romance anime. I've seen a lot of romance anime, and I'm trying to figure out which one I think is the best recommendation.
All of the romances I've seen are actually rom-coms.
Yeah, and there are quite a few that are just straight romances as well. I think I would say first off, Kaichou wa Maid-sama.
I definitely can't type that.
I can type that real quick. It is a comedy as well. It's a romantic comedy, but it's a good entrance to romance, and so is Toradora, honestly. But it's a good entrance to romance where the main characters are not bound together by like a great adventure or anything. It's by a secret, and slowly over the course of the series, you see them begin to fall for each other, and you see it tackles not just the trying to get them together, but also what happens like afterwards, you know, and how you handle those challenges. So I think it's a really good starter for that type of anime, in my opinion. For you don't really want to get into stuff that's super tragic right off the bat.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But man, the first thing I tripped really hard earlier trying to recommend romance anime, because the first one I thought of was Steins Gate, and it's a really, really good romance. That series is way too complicated to be a recommendation for a first series.
That's understandable.
Man, I'm struggling here. This is the hard one for me. I had a list of all my recommendations, and now I'm looking over that giant list. Trying to think of some newer stuff, too, that's not just the old stuff that everybody knows, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the rom-com that I watched, Gamers, wouldn't be a bad recommendation, in my opinion, for a rom-com.
Yeah.
Because it's not too complicated, because they constantly are like talking about what's going on, but at the same time, it kind of introduces, it could kind of introduce people to the idea of there being a gigantic love tetrahedron, whatever it is, tetrahedron.
Dodecahedron?
Yeah, because like there's so many people that are, they think like one person thinks they're in love with this person who's in love with this person that thinks they're in love with that person who's in love with that person.
Yeah.
But because they're constantly talking about it, it makes it really easy to follow because they remind you who they think they're in love with because of who they're in love with.
Yeah.
Thinks they're in love with someone else.
I mean, that's also a good introduction to how weird anime can be sometimes, so I would not say that was a bad one.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put that down as well then.
I have my other two now from my list. I've narrowed it down to two. I'm sorry it took so long.
No, you're fine.
So my other two are Tsurezure Children. So I don't know if you remember me talking about that one before.
I don't think so.
That is the straight romance where it's a bunch of different couples in the same school, and every episode focuses on 3 of the couples.
Okay.
And then the other straight recommendation that I have is Golden Time. Golden Time is a really weird recommendation for new people because it's an intense anime. It's very heavy. It's about relationships and how much they hurt sometimes. But I also think that it's one of the best written romance anime in my opinion. And it has some of the most realistic characters. So I feel like even new people should be able to look at that and go, okay. But absolutely of the list of romance anime, take that one last if you're unsure.
That's understandable.
Were there any other genres you wanted to hit before Mecha? Because obviously I could talk about Mecha forever.
No, I don't think so. I think the other genres basically have every genre has like subgenres. And
Absolutely.
so I think we hit like the most important ones, and off of this list after we finish with Mecha, I feel like any of these anime that if somebody hasn't watched anime before or is still watching anime for the first time would really enjoy anime because of one of these shows.
I agree. And I actually have a couple of non-genre recommendations because I just don't know where I would put them.
Okay, we can go ahead and throw those on there as well.
These recommendations are JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It is a great show for newcomers to anime because it is unlike anything else in the anime space. It's just so weird that you watch it and you finish it and you're like, okay, I want more weirdness. And you go from there and you can watch just about anything and appreciate how weird anime can be. Am I cutting out for you, by the way? Or am I okay?
You cut out like maybe once or twice, but I was still able to keep going with what you were saying.
Okay, I noticed the Discord was acting up. I think JoJo's is a really good place to start for a lot of people. And I think it's a place that a lot of people did start based on how popular it's become.
I really want to see it. I heard it's really good.
It's really good.
Is it long?
So it's broken up into multiple different seasons. The first arc, I guess you could say, is 9 episodes.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And a lot of people say it's the weakest arc. I personally think it's really good, but a lot of people think it's the weakest arc.
It's a little bit older of an anime, isn't it?
Well, it came out in 2012, the first part.
Oh, maybe
the manga was from the 70s.
Oh, okay. That's what I was looking at.
And the next one is the sports recommendation to put on the list because we didn't have any of those so far. I actually recommend Haikyuu, which I'll spell out for you. Because I think Haikyuu is absolutely worth it. If you like sports and you like anime, you should watch Haikyuu. It's a volleyball anime, but oh man, does it get hype sometimes. I actually think Ice Shield 21 is a better show, but I think it's a worse place to start because Haikyuu is high energy, high octane action while also being about the team and the relationships the team has with each other. And there is a moment in Haikyuu, I think it's like episode 8 or episode 9, where I flipped my chair over, I stood up, I was so excited.
See, I saw this in my recommendations, my recommended videos to watch after I finished one of my anime, and I was like, that looks really interesting, but I don't know if I want to watch it, and I decided not to, so now I'm going to have to watch it for sure.
It's real good. It's real good. I didn't think I would like volleyball, but I also didn't think I liked football until I watched a football anime, so My problem is now having watched anime versions of sports, regular versions of sports look boring. So, like, where are the anime powers? But we will transition into the final recommendations, which is my favorite genre, as most of you know, mecha. Patrick, do you have any mecha recommendations before I just hit you?
Well, the only mecha so far I've seen or in the middle of watching is Iron Blood Orphans.
Okay. Do you think it's a good place to start?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And mainly because if you don't know how to deal with character death, as in like in a show, and understand like what their death really means for the show, then it's gonna hit you way too hard.
I agree.
Because I thought I was ready, and it hit me so hard I had to stop watching for a few days because I was so upset that a side character died.
And I think it helps that a lot of these shows are made weekly. Like, you would have watched each episode once a week, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because if it had been like whenever it actually came out, I was watching it, I would have had a whole entire week to deal with that character death. And it would have been a lot easier for me to catch up on the next week and be like, okay, you know, that this character's dead, it's okay, I can push through this. Like, let's see where they're going now. And it would have been a lot easier to see what their character death meant to the other people. And that's why it took me a few days to watch it, because I tried watching the next episode and I was like, I can't. Like, I don't want to watch this episode and not see this character there, because I can't.
No, I agree.
But I mean, I think it's, I would recommend to watch it at some point, because it's made me, I guess, mature as a anime watcher, because now I understand a lot more of how to deal with different aspects of anime as a whole.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
I agree. I absolutely think so. And I think once you finish it, you'll think that even more. I think you'll absolutely think that even more when you finish it. But I really want to do a follow-up list to this at some point, like maybe sometime next year after you've watched a lot more anime, and have a recommendations list for like people that have watched some anime but don't know what to go to next.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I'm going to try to watch everything that's on this list right here that I haven't watched. And
it's a lot to watch.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is put some of them higher than others, some of them that I've already had interest in. I'm going to put them higher up on the list.
As much as I think you should watch One Piece, you shouldn't watch One Piece if you're going to watch everything on this list.
What I'm going to do with One Piece is actually read the manga. I've decided solely that instead of watching One Piece,
yes, sir,
I'm going to make it my first manga and read the entire thing.
It's worth it. Super worth it.
It's going to be really hard.
It will be, you're right. So, for mecha, the first thing that I'm going to recommend for people that want to watch mecha anime is the question of, I want to split this up into Real Robot and Super Robot, because they are very different series. The first Real Robot I want to recommend is Macross. The original Macross is a little bit dated in the term of looks, but is a great series to start you in. I'm in space, there's robots, there's aliens, and there's a lot of music. Because the thing about old school anime and about a lot of mecha is music's very popular. It's very important to it. And you don't just have to watch original Macross. You could actually start with, in my opinion, any Macross series. 7 is a little bit more reliant on the original Macross, I suppose you could say. But, for instance, Macross Frontier, Macross, what is this newest one called? Macross Delta? Those are still fine shows. Like, there's more superpowers in Frontier and Delta than there were in the original. But the basic premise of the original is mankind has gone to space because aliens have attacked Earth. And the only thing that's stopping these aliens is, for some reason, when this singer sings, the aliens stop shooting us. So guess what? She gotta sing all the time. She's military, weapon number 1, while these pilots that probably weren't actually full-on military pilots, but are now forced to fight for their lives, have to try and kill everybody while they're stopping. It's really good. And it's a really good mech for getting used to character death, things like that. Getting used to transformable suits, and then being able to do things like that. I think it's a really good show for that.
I'm going to have to watch that one. That one's interesting.
It's real good. My second recommendation for Real Robots is Fullmetal Panic. And the reason I recommend Fullmetal Panic is that Fullmetal Panic is a series that looks like it is supposed to be a school anime. But one of the characters, the main female character, is being targeted by an organization for reasons they don't know, and is set a soldier to guard her, who enrolls in the school to be able to guard her, and he pilots a mech.
That sounds crazy.
It's really good. And obviously, the second season is a slice-of-life comedy called Fullmetal Panic Fumofu. And the third season goes right straight into grimdark with people starting to die a lot and superpowers coming in. But if you just watch the first season, that is a good launching point, and you can come back to the others later if you want to.
If you watch the first season and at the end of it, does it make you want to watch the others?
It did for me.
Fair enough. I'll have to look at that. I mean, the third one kind of sounded crazy the way you were describing it.
Yep, superpowers come in, and all of a sudden you got Landa drivers, and mechs are punching, and the punch is carrying through halfway across the city and hitting stuff. Oh, man, it's real good, but it's also very dark. Of course, by this point, you're ready for that, so...
Yeah, exactly.
And my final recommendation for Real Robots is Martian Successor Nadesco. And I can spell that out if you'd like, Patrick.
Yes, please.
And the reason being, as we talked about earlier, I think Martian Successor Nadesco is a really good real robot that is not afraid to kill off some characters, but is also... It gets you into the idea of, oh, hey, maybe I'm okay with super robots. Because they have these distortion fields that act like a barrier around them. And you may have noticed, I didn't recommend any Gundam in the real robot section.
Yeah.
The reason being, I absolutely adore Gundam, and the first anime I ever saw dubbed was Gundam. I don't think Gundam is a good starting point for most people. If you hadn't already seen a couple animated series, I wouldn't have said you should watch Iron Blood Orphans. And honestly, you probably still watched Iron Blood Orphans a little early, but hey, it's fine.
I think, like I was saying, I think I learned from it, and it was worth it, but at the same time, I definitely agree. Because I was not ready. I was not ready at all.
And I think Gundam is great. I absolutely adore Gundam, and I think everybody should watch Gundam. But if I started listing off what Gundam series to start with, we'd be here all day. Because I would go pros and cons on each. If you want to watch a Gundam series, you have to watch a Gundam series as your first mecha show. I won't blame you for that. Watch Zeta Gundam. Zeta Gundam is, and you see me sneak in a fourth recommendation for real robots there. Zeta Gundam is the best one to start with then. You say, well, I should just watch Original Gundam. I agree, you should just watch Original Gundam, but a lot of people don't like the dated animation, and Zeta Gundam is a lot smoother when it comes to that. You don't miss out on that much by not watching Original Gundam, although I still think you should watch it. But if you need a recommendation for a Gundam series, start with Zeta. That said, the final category that I think I should do recommendations for is super robots. I love my real robots, but Patrick, do you know what makes a great super?
Let me hear it. What you got?
So what makes a great super is the ability to destroy everything in its path while the hero gives a speech about justice, or while he screams out his friend's name that has been unfortunately killed, or while he talks about how he just wants to get back home and utterly devastates something in front of him. Super robots are amazing, and I think one of the best places to start is a 6-episode series that is super short, that is absolutely amazing, and it's called Gunbuster. Gunbuster is the story of a girl named Takuya Noriko who just wants to make her coach proud and teams up with another girl to pilot the Gunbuster. Or that's what she wants to do anyway. To try and save the Earth from aliens that are coming to destroy it. and it deals with space and time dilation and what it means to feel alone. And those are really heavy topics, but on the surface, it is just a story of a girl trying to protect her home.
I think recommending short anime like that really helps too, because it'll get a couple of anime under their belt for people who haven't seen any.
I absolutely agree. And Gunbuster has, it's got great music, the animation's tight, the action is amazing. It's a really good show that I think everybody should watch. Past that, for the next super that I recommend, you may remember that my favorite show is Gekiganger. I'm not recommending Gekiganger. I love Gekiganger so much, but I'm not recommending Gekiganger to somebody who's new to Super Robot anime. What instead I will recommend is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. And I'll spell this one out too, don't worry. The reason being that Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is the story of all of mankind on Earth has been moved underground, and your two main characters just want to escape from the underground. And along the way, things get crazy, and they wind up getting robots and combining and fighting against the forces that be to try and bring mankind back to the surface.
That sounds so freaking cool.
It's really good, and it's beautiful. The animation's absolutely great. It's done by Gainax. There's some fan service in it, so be aware of that, but it's not too aggressive other than with one character. The writing is top-notch. It is absolutely amazing and fully deserves, in my opinion, to be a recommendation for new viewers. Though old viewers should watch it too. Absolutely. And then finally, for Super Robot shows, I thought long and hard about a third super that wouldn't be too fan servicey or wouldn't be too heavy. There are so many shows I want to recommend, but I can't because they're not great for new viewers. And so what I finally came down to was Star Driver. And Star Driver's plot is almost nonsensical half the time. There is so much going on that's not really well explained at all. But the basic premise is a guy moves to a new school on an island and finds out that every night these 4 maidens get attacked. And he can pilot a giant robot called Tauburn and decides to defend them. And so again, I feel like one of the things about great anime is that, and even some terrible anime, is that it can be, what's the right word here? It can be different both times you watch it. Like the first time you watch it, you take it at face value. The second time you watch it, you go back and you see that it's completely different from what you thought it was. And Star Driver, in my opinion, is one of those shows. You watch it and you're like, okay, this is so weird. What is going on? Why is she in a cage? What? Why? And then you reach the end and you're like, you know what? This was a fun ride. This was stupid fun, and I really enjoyed it. And that's what I think is really good for a new anime fan, who could then go back later and go, okay, so that's what was going on there. When they get in their mechs, they have to yell "au revoir," which is the French word for putting on clothes, basically. And then there's a magical girl transformation where they get into the robot. And then the whole time, one of the 4 maidens, depending on who's being attacked, is singing their song. And there's a bunch of weird stuff going on with the maidens, where one of them's locked in a cage and she kind of likes being in there. It's such a weird show. But I think it's so weird that it's perfect for a new viewer, you know? It doesn't do the bait and switch that Outlaw Star does, where it starts out kind of normal and then becomes weird. It's always weird. And it also introduces you to one of the, in my opinion... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying there's nothing wrong with that at all.
I agree. It also introduces you to one of the weirder things in anime that has stuck around, that I don't dislike, but I don't necessarily like either, which is the love triangle that never really gets resolved. If that makes sense. Like, without spoiling too much, there is a set of characters in there that they both like the same girl, and that never gets dealt with, and the show ends openly, where it could go either way. And I think that's very important for a new anime viewer to get used to that idea, because a ton of anime do that. Like, I love closure, but a ton of anime don't have closure.
Yeah, which makes it really rough sometimes.
And so I think having that blow, that idea of, okay, so shows are going to do this to me, being wrapped up in the weirdness that is Star Driver, and in the fun that's going on with Star Driver, in my opinion, is really good. It's the way to do it. But also, the music in Star Driver is insane.
It sounds so good. I'm most definitely going to watch it at some point.
Just remember, it's weird.
That's okay.
Patrick, there is a scene where a guy explains how their giant robots work, and you figure out that they're powered based on their libidos, but not in like the, oh, that means I have to have more lust to be stronger, but in a, what if instead of libido, I tried to use my willpower instead kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh man, it's so good. I love it, but it's so weird. Now I just want to watch Star Driver again.
That's definitely going on the list.
So, this has been our recommendations list. Patrick, can you think of any other recommendations you have?
Not really. I think all the stuff that I'm currently watching right now, like even Konohana Kitan or I mean, really, to be honest with you, most of the stuff that I've watched, I probably shouldn't have watched when I did.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because, like I said, I feel like I've matured as an anime watcher only because I jumped feet first just to see what it would be like.
I watched Death Note and Berserk when I was little.
I was told I need to watch Death Note.
You should. It's really good. I don't recommend it to new people, but you're not new anymore, so.
Yeah, I heard Death Note was really good, and I heard that from somebody who doesn't watch anime.
Death Note's absolutely amazing. There was a time in my life where I would go to conventions and things, and someone would say they hadn't seen Death Note, and everyone would turn around and go, "You haven't seen Death Note?" Like it was a death sentence. There is one more thing that I think we should recommend, and it's not a specific show, but if you are a person who plays video games and you play video games that have anime based on those games, that can be another really good way to get into anime. If, like, for instance, you play Valkyria Chronicles and then turned around and watched the Valkyria Chronicles anime. I don't think that's a great version of that story. I think the Valkyria Chronicles anime is pretty rough, but if you've only ever played that game that has an anime, check it out. You must have liked the game if you beat it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, this turned out longer than I meant for it to, but I think we have a good list here.
Yeah, I think we do too, especially some of the stuff that I haven't heard whenever you were describing it. It sounds really good.
Based on what we've talked about, Patrick, what are the 3 shows that you think would be the best ones to recommend from this list? I mean, I know it depends drastically on what people normally watch, but
I think out of the ones that I've watched on this one, the best ones to get into anime would probably be My Hero Academia.
Yep.
Or Baku no Hero, because it's new, it's fresh, it's up to date, people are talking about it.
It's absolutely on my short list too.
To be honest with you, Konosuba I think is a great way to get into anime as well.
I agree.
It's so, I mean, everything that we talked about when it came up. I mean, it's so light and easy to watch, in my opinion, that it would be perfect for that. Mm-hmm. Man, trying to think, what would be the next good one? Oh man, this is kind of rough to pick a third one, to be honest with you. Only because there's a lot of them on this list that are really good.
I can tell you my list if that'll help.
Yeah, why don't you tell me your list and I'll see if I can come up with my last one.
So my list is a little weird because although I agree that My Hero Academia should be on my short list, I'm going to go with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Because it's just so weird that I think it is one of the perfect entry points into anime. I'm going to go with Gunbuster. And then I'm actually going to go with, and go figure it, everybody's going to have seen this coming, I'm actually going to go with School Rumble.
Yeah, I've actually got that one saved right now, so I can go watch it.
It's real good.
That's really exciting. I think that for the third one on mine, I'm gonna go ahead and say Cowboy Bebop, just because it's easy to pick up and put down.
Yep. So we will be adding topics to our dockets here. Just about every week that we're running short. If we have a long discussion about a show that somebody's watching, we probably won't do a topic. But we're going to aim for around, what do you think, about an hour?
Yeah, I think that's a good time.
We've obviously run a little bit long this time, but this was our first topic, so it's okay. Past that, go ahead.
I think this will be a lot more interesting to listen to as well, though, because we're giving really good recommendations, and people like to hear what other people want to recommend. So
I agree. And if you have a topic you want us to cover that's about anime, put it in the comment section below. If you want to hear us talk about fan service, we haven't had that discussion fully yet. If you want to hear us talk about, heck, I'll even talk about the impact that hentai's had on the anime industry. If you just really want to talk about that, we'll do it. What I would prefer is if we talk about, like, what order should you watch Gundam in? But, I'll have that hentai discussion if you want to do it. Patrick, you know what hentai is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that at some point we will have to make that a topic to talk about.
Yeah, because it's had an impact for sure. But I have been Trey.
And I've been Patrick.
We've been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that anime has to offer.